Hello, everybody. Let's just do a quick audio test. This is Giuseppe here, head of onboardings here at CleanCloud. Just let me know, of course, if, well, we have a questions tab today, but I can already get some, I've got some feedback that people can hear me, which is the most important thing. We have Brian from DoorDash, senior manager at DoorDash, who will be joining us in just a moment. So just bear with us. But otherwise, I'm going to be showing you on my end the way to set up DoorDash so that you can run orders through DoorDash in your CleanCloud account. And I'm going to just show you how to set it up, the workflow for it. And then also, Brian has prepared some slides of his own to show you some elements related to DoorDash as well. So what I think we're going to do is, and I know that Brian is just going to join us any moment now. I'm, in fact, going to then pretty much start showing you how to get everything set up. And then after that, we'll go into the workflow so everybody can see how that will work as well. In terms of otherwise, who is on this call today? Well, we have current customers of ours and many familiar faces. And otherwise, we also have this time around some prospective customers as well. So for those of you who are current customers and are interested in learning more about DoorDash, we hope that this webinar is going to be very informative. And likewise, for those of you who are prospective customers as well, of course, we hope that you are very excited to see all these key DoorDash related features. I've just got a note here that Brian is otherwise here now. So Brian, welcome. If you can get your microphone otherwise on, let me know otherwise if you're having any difficulties with that. But what we'll do is I'll just start showing you guys basically my part of this webinar, and then I'll pass on to Brian. And after that, by the way, we're going to then have a Q&A. My one thing I want to stress today is if you can try to note down any questions you have and try to keep those questions for later on, so that we address them in the Q&A part of this webinar. And we'll be trying to address therefore as many questions as we can. We do have a 45-minute total today for the webinar. So, just try to keep your questions as relevant to the webinar as possible, of course, and we'll try to address them at the end. And the reason why I say that is so that we don't disrupt the flow, because as you're going to be asking perhaps any questions, what might happen then is that you're going to lose track of what we are discussing. There's all loads of key information that we don't want you to miss. But Brian, thank you so much. I can see you now there. In fact, Brian, I'll leave it up to you. If not, do you want to maybe start with your end? If not, I'm happy to start with mine, but really up to you.
Yeah, why don't you dive in if you're good with that, and then I can layer in with my stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So then let's start with my side of it. So just bear with me, guys. I'm going to share my screen with you all. Let's just do that from here. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to go also in full screen here. Okay, great. So hopefully you guys can all see my screen. What we're going to do is we're going to have a look then at how to set up DoorDash in your CleanCloud account. Now, first things first, to set this up, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to go to the three lines at the top left, what we often refer to as settings, and then go to admin. And in the admin section under store settings, as you can see here, you can then go to services offered. Now, this is where you want to make sure that you enable this switch here for DoorDash pickup and delivery. Something I do want to note, however, which is if you are also offering your own pickup and delivery service, then please make sure to also enable the first toggle for the pickup and delivery, right? So you can offer both. You might have a dedicated area where you have your own current pickup and delivery route, and you might choose to offer in a new area your DoorDash pickup and delivery route. But just simply apply the option or options that apply to you, right? If you just want to offer DoorDash, obviously just enable the DoorDash pickup and delivery toggle. Once you do this, however, very important, make sure to hit submit, because once you hit submit, that will then show you this here. In the pickup and delivery section, you are then going to find a DoorDash tab. So make sure to enable that switch on the previous page, and then you will see this DoorDash tab in the pickup and delivery section. So let's go through these options on this page one by one, and let's start with the one at the top. So require journey confirmation. Where it says require journey confirmation, and a journey, by the way, is a pickup, and a journey is also a delivery. So typically, each pickup and delivery order would include 2 journeys, right? One for the pickup, one for the delivery. So what this means is if you want, you can automatically accept all of the DoorDash orders that come through from your customers. And to allow that to happen, you can just leave this toggle off, right? If you just want them to automatically come through without requiring confirmation from one of your staff members, you can leave this off. If, on the other hand, you would like your staff to accept the pickup or accept the DoorDash, let's say, delivery, then you can enable this toggle. You would be able to, or staff would be able to accept these journeys from the top right, where you can currently see there's this DoorDash icon, right? So this is basically where you can do it. You'll find that these have an accept button over here, and staff can accept the order if you obviously are going to require the journey confirmation. In this case, I am just going to automatically allow for these DoorDash orders coming through to be accepted. So I'm going to leave it off. The next thing to have a look at is send push notifications when journey status changes. Now, for those of you who are not so familiar with what push notifications are, they are the notifications that you get through your phone. So if you have an app downloaded on your phone, and various of you might have social media apps downloaded on your phone, it's those notifications you get through the app. Somebody may perhaps comments on your post, or a news app that lets you know of a breaking news story. That is basically a push notification. So for those of your customers that have the CleanCloud app downloaded on their phone, they can be notified then about the journey status changes as the dasher goes and indicates, in fact, the latest regarding the order, as they perhaps, pick up the order to then, take it to the store and so on. For all the various different journey statuses, let's say, that are involved in the order, then the customer can be updated regarding these. The next thing is journey fee coverage, right? So for journey fee coverage, and we've got this tooltip indicating to you, or pointing out, shall we say, an example of how this works. But just so you get the idea, typically with regards to like the base fee for a DoorDash journey, it is $7.50 per journey, the base fee. However, that covers up to 3 miles. So if the order that the customer places is beyond 3 miles, that would add 70 cents per each extra mile up to 10 miles, right? 10 miles is the maximum area coverage, right? So, and that's how the fees would basically work. So you can choose as a business owner how much of that fee you would like to cover for the customer, right? So perhaps for each journey, you might wish to cover $5. So just put in an amount that you feel to be reasonable, and the remaining part of that cost will be passed on then to the customer. Below, you have then the credits area. And by the way, for those of you that enabled the DoorDash toggle that we first looked at earlier on, you will be in trial mode, which lasts for 30 days. So when you come to this area, and then you maybe want to buy then the credits, which will be absolutely crucial for you to test out DoorDash. It's a requirement to have some credits on your account. You'll find that in trial mode, the bundles look a little bit different to the ones that you can see here, which is post-trial mode, the ones that you're looking at on my screen right now. On trial mode, however, the minimum amount that you can purchase is $25. So it'll be very cheap for you to purchase those credits and test out DoorDash as soon as you'd like to. And once you are past the 30-day trial mode and you do get your credits from here, you can even enable an auto top up. So once you go below, say, 300 credits, you can even choose on which plan you would like it to top up on automatically. Make sure, however, that you do have credits. It's a very important point because if not, it won't work if you try to test out DoorDash. Next, let's have a look at the pickup and delivery options. This is where you can set the various days of availability and the times of availability for the dashers. So just put in the relevant days and times. And below, you can then input the in the various fields the details of your store address, right? So street, unit, city, zip code, state, phone number, and even additional dasher instructions, right? So if you wanted to say, come to the front counter, anything that you feel would be useful for the dashers to know about, then please do include that information in that field. Now, this is these are the key details regarding this area of the DoorDash section. You can then just hit submit as usual to save this information so you don't lose anything. What I do want you to then, however, do, or what I recommend you do in order to set up DoorDash on your account, is I would then recommend going to the payments and finances area. In the payments and finances area, for those of you, of course, who are on this call, you should all be US customers, but you'll find here this here regarding clearance. And it'll be very, very important I would definitely recommend making sure that you do have clearance set up. This will allow you to save customers' credit cards on file. It would also allow you to have an automated payment system for taking payment for these DoorDash orders. So if you haven't got in touch with them already, and if you see in your account in this area that you do not have hosted payments set up, you'll notice that very quickly by seeing information in these fields. But if you don't have it, then I do absolutely recommend that you get this set up so that you can have a nice and clear workflow for these DoorDash orders. And the good thing that you can then enable once this is set up is you can require that customers add their card before they place that DoorDash order. And you can also then allow them to add their card in the app. And lastly, I would also recommend enabling this, which is to automatically charge a customer's saved card on file once their order has been cleaned. And you can enable this for those pickup and delivery DoorDash orders if you'd like to specifically. Beyond that, another area that I'd also recommend having a look at is then going to, in pickup and delivery, we've got this pickup and delivery options tab. And this is where you can set the minimum amount of hours between a pickup and a delivery, right? So if you know that it takes you 24 hours to turn around an order, then you can put 24 hours so that customers cannot select, for example, for the order to be delivered back to them on the same day, right? So you'd want to make sure that you have a clear turnaround time indicated in this field. And so if it is typically 24 hours, you can put that in this area over here. And then otherwise, I think what we can then do is we can pretty much go and have a look at the routes section, which is this here. And I want to point out this for those of you who perhaps have your own pickup and delivery service area and your DoorDash, and you intend to have a separate area, perhaps even for DoorDash orders, right? You can come here, you can create any amount of routes that you would like to, name them in the way you'd like to. Here we have a variety of them already set up. And I want you to pay attention in particular to these toggles at the top, right? So you've got a toggle that says just active and another toggle that says DoorDash active. So again, for those of you that would like to have your own pickup and delivery service and a DoorDash one, you can choose if you want a route to be specifically a DoorDash one, which means that you would definitely want to have this active one off, right? And just the DoorDash active one on. And on the other hand, if you have your own pickup and delivery service area and you don't want DoorDash to operate in this particular one, then you can just have this one on. Or you can even choose to have both on. Having both on, what that means, and we'll actually see this in an example I'll be giving to you in a moment, but having both on gives the choice to the customer. They can place for that route, they can basically place an order either with yourselves or with DoorDash. You can even give them the choice if you so choose. But personally, my recommendation is I would probably recommend otherwise to keep them separate. You can have one route of your own and one or multiple for DoorDash perhaps, right? So I'd recommend personally splitting them, and you can then set up the service areas for each of them as well. That's something that will be possible to do from here as well. So with that being said, I think now is the perfect time to go and have a look at we've got like a simulator. So I'm going to show you basically what these orders look like when the customers go and place the orders online themselves, and then how everything works after that. So let's go into the workflow. Let's go here. Okay, so I'm just actually going to log out. Okay, so I'm going to show you the experience of the customer. They would be on the CleanCloud app. They would then find your store. Okay, and then when they find your store, they select it. And they could sign up. In this case, let's just sign up with email. Okay, we want to put a phone number in. You can put then an email. Okay, password. And then if they have an invite promo code, they can put that in. And you can also put the date of birth in. That's optional. And you can even tick if you want to receive promotions. So once you sign up, customers, if you have preferences enabled, can select the preferences they have, in this case for shirt or starch. And then let's have a look at the ordering process. So the customers can go to order. They would then need to put in an address. I've just got an address here. Okay, this is the one. All right, so you can then select the address, and then you can go to continue. And at this point, you'll be able to then select whether, in this case, as mentioned earlier on, right, I have been assigned to a route where the customer can choose whether they would like, let's say, your own pickup and delivery service, or whether we would like DoorDash to handle the pickup and delivery order. So you can, like I mentioned earlier on, offer the 2-on-1 route if you so choose. In this case, of course, we're going to go for the DoorDash option. So with the DoorDash option here, we can then choose the dates on the calendars and so on. So we're going to go and choose today, and it's going to otherwise, let's just go actually for tomorrow, and it's going to otherwise pre-select a Dasher tip. It will pre-select the $5 amount. However, customers can change this if they want to. Then we can go to continue. And again, we're going to go to DoorDash. And in this case, we're going to choose the delivery. And by the way, there is this 3-hour slider for these orders, right? So the customers can then just drag the slider across. Again, it's pre-selecting that $5 Dasher tip. And then we can go to continue. And this is where then the customer can be required to add their card, right? So if you have clearance then set up, this will then appear on the customer screen. I'm just going to simulate what this is like. So the customer adds their card details and so on. Okay. And they put their security code and everything, and then they add their card. And then what happens is they can get to the order confirmation page, right? So they get to the order confirmation page where they can just review their order, and they can then schedule their pickup. And the order was created successfully, as you can see. And the customer can keep track of their order. Got a nice banner there indicating that this order is powered by DoorDash. And they can go and have a look here if they want to keep track of their order. There is a status option here where they can keep track of the latest regarding their order. And of course, remember, they will be otherwise notified via the push notifications as we were discussing earlier on. So let's now see what happens next, because now that the customer has actually gone and placed the order, we're going to find that order here, right? So this is the order 6102. It is on the pickups page, which is where it will first land for then the, in your account, and the Dasher will then be the one who will be able to clear it off of this page. Now, I do have one of our developers here who I'm going to just have to then just show this. So Ivan, I know you can hear me. So 2030 is the ending of this particular order. And as Ivan is going to simulate what the Dashers would typically do in terms of, picking up the order from the customer's address and then ultimately bringing it to the store, I just want to then indicate to you what these options that you can see here are, right? You can see the status, you can see a DoorDash ID, you can see the estimated fee for the order versus the real fee, what the customer fee is, the Dasher tip, the pickup address. And so you can have loads of information here. So if you need to double check on anything regarding a DoorDash order, I do in fact recommend that you go to this pop-up where you will then find the details related to the order. And in terms of the pickup, and below, you otherwise can see here the details of the delivery, right? So let's have a look now. I think Ivan has, our developer has in fact indeed updated this order and pretending to be the Dasher there. Perfect. And we can see now that once the Dasher has picked up the order and brought it to your store, the order will then appear on the detail page. And this is at least what we recommend. It's an optional page, but I typically would recommend this. And what this means is that your staff can then be prompted to verify the details of the order and make sure that they are indeed correct, right? So the Dasher then would get this order then moving along to the detail page. On the detail page, staff can then start interacting with the order. They go to the detail button and they can start putting in, let's just say they have 2 laundry bags, one of 15 pounds and a second bag of 10 pounds. And that's going to be then enough for us to update that order. Once the order gets detailed, it's going to go to cleaning. As you can see here, it's got that nice DoorDash icon on it. And if the order's in cleaning, and if you happen to run a laundromat, you probably would have a page like this, right? So this machines page where you can take the order from the to-do list, drag and drop it into the washer, choose a time, choose the washer, and you can even choose multiple washers for one order if you want. And then you can, once it's coming out of the washer, of course, you can drag and drop it then into the dryer, choose the time, dryer, and we can submit it, move it across to folding. And then once it's been folded, you can move it to completed. And once it's been completed, you can then have this prompt come up where you can indicate on which rack you're going to place this completed order. So I could say rack 5, there's 2 bags in this order. If there aren't any items hanging, for example, then I can just leave this as 0 and hit submit. And what will happen as soon as I hit submit is that the customer's card would get charged automatically. So in fact, you can see here in this paid column, there is now an indication that it's already been paid by card. And that is why we recommend setting up the automatic charge on these orders so that the customer's card just gets charged automatically. It all runs through nice and smoothly. And now the order that is here on the ready page, and for our developer Ivan, I'm going to just show this here for the delivery. The ID ends in 2039. But what then will happen here, the order can just stay on the ready page until the dasher then returns the order to the customer. So they'll bring the order back to the customer's address. And once that happens, the order will be cleared off of this ready page automatically, right? Which is the really, really good thing about this, which is it makes life so much simpler for you and your staff. Because if you look above at the tabs, the pickups tab is going to be handled by the dasher. The ready tab for these DoorDash orders is also going to be handled by the dasher. So staff in store would really only need to focus on that detail page and then the cleaning of machines pages, and that's it. And as long as they move the orders across in the correct way, the dasher will then indicate that they've delivered the order and therefore bring it to its completion. In fact, for this order here, 6102, in fact, you can see that it's now cleared off of the ready page. So that's actually pretty much it in terms of the setup that we recommend, and otherwise the workflow for these DoorDash orders. And I very much hope that it was as clear as I think it was. So I'm sure you guys will let us know if that's not the case. But I think now could be a good time for me to stop sharing my screen. And in fact, I can leave it then to Brian to take the floor.
Yeah, great. Thank you, sir. I'm just going to share my screen really quick. Okay. Just give me one moment, please. Okay. And let's go with this one. Great. So hold on one second. Actually, Giuseppe, could you potentially share my slides? I seem to have a permissions problem in my system. Sorry.
I don't think anyone heard me there. Sorry, I didn't realize I was on mute.
Oh, no worries, no worries.
Bear with me. I'll get that for you.
Cool. While you're pulling that up, my intent here is really just to give a quick summary of the DoorDash Drive program. Most of you are probably quite familiar with DoorDash as a marketplace where you can download an app or go to a website and see a restaurants or other merchant stores that you can order things from, whether that's 7-Eleven, a restaurant, liquor stores, that type of thing. DoorDash Drive is basically a service that DoorDash offers that just uses the fleet of drivers to fulfill orders that come through your first party channel, i.e. via CleanCloud, like Giuseppe just showed. And so there's no consumer interaction with the DoorDash marketplace, the DoorDash app, the DoorDash website. It's really a white label service that allows us to use the fleet to move stuff from point A to point B when you take an order through your first party channels. Giuseppe, if you don't mind to float to the next slide there. So just a couple of perks or benefits of this service. The biggest one is that you maintain the control of your brand. Obviously in the laundry space, like the DoorDash marketplace doesn't really do a lot with laundry and dry cleaning. So it's opening up the DoorDash service to you, period. But over and above the DoorDash marketplace, it really just lets you keep more control over how you're interacting with your customers, rather than those customers having a DoorDash ordering experience where it's all DoorDash branding and DoorDash user flows, etc. You're keeping control of all of that through CleanCloud and just using DoorDash for the fulfillment of the service. It also allows you to offer a delivery service without all of the hassle associated with maintaining your own logistics, whether that's having drivers on staff, figuring out what to do when drivers are sick, that type of thing. It really just offers you the ability to let us take care of that so that you can focus on running the operations of your store. And then the other perk that's kind of cool here is DoorDash Drive is a flat fee model. If you're familiar with the DoorDash marketplace, oftentimes the fee is a commission-based model where the fee is a percentage of the order value. There is no concept of that on the DoorDash Drive side. The fee we charge is the fee we charge for $2 of goods versus $200 worth of goods. Giuseppe, if you don't mind, to the next one. Just a quick slide comparing and contrasting some of the benefits. The one thing that I'll highlight on this slide is a DoorDash won't actually do any unilateral marketing to your customers. We defer all communications to your customers to you. So we're not like aggregating consumer email addresses or phone numbers and pushing marketing communications to them. It's purely a white label service that fulfills things from point A to point B. And you have all of the control over messaging that goes to your consumers. Giuseppe, the next one.
Of course.
This is the last slide I'll walk through. Just a basic summary of the flow. So effectively what happens is a customer is going to place an order through the CleanCloud app or website like Giuseppe just showed you. That CleanCloud is going to send that order to DoorDash purely for the purpose of like requesting a delivery. DoorDash is going to confirm to CleanCloud that we can in fact do the delivery. And at the appropriate time, DoorDash will dispatch a driver. As the driver is making their way through the journey, we'll send notifications to the consumer. Those notifications are very simple SMS messages that say, your driver is on the way, your driver is getting close, that type of thing. It doesn't have any DoorDash branding in those messages. We'll do the handoff or the pickup, complete the order or complete the journey to either to the consumer if we're returning, or to the store if we're taking the goods from the consumer to the store. And then you'll get a delivery confirmation via SMS once it's dropped off. So super simple. Again, DoorDash is really just facilitating the driving from point A to point B and sending updates about the status. The rest of it is a CleanCloud owned experience powered by you guys. The last two slides that you see in the deck there are about our support procedures and just some tips and tricks for using or working with DoorDash effectively. So in the event that you have challenges with a delivery, driver's late, driver left without one of the bags, that type of thing, you can call our support team at any time. They're 24/7, primarily based in Phoenix. And then if you have something that you don't want to talk on the phone about, maybe it's not as urgent as a phone call might necessitate, you can just email them at that email address there, and then they'll be ready to support you. And then the last one is just some tips and tricks regarding how to best utilize the service and ensure the maximum efficiency of the service. So I'll pause there. Really looking forward to having you all using the DoorDash Drive service with CleanCloud.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for that, Brian.
Yeah.
Perfect. Let me just stop sharing there quickly. All right. That was fantastic. So what I otherwise think could be a good time for, and I did want to make a mention of the fact that I suppose before we start with the Q&A, we have, as some of you might very, very much be aware of, we have our monthly updates webinar coming. Well, in this case, it's going to be coming next week. So look out for that. We'll be sending you an invite very soon. It should be coming out to you tomorrow. And there are a couple of elements that we weren't able to show you just today, but we are going to show you next Thursday. Same time, but next Thursday, we're going to be showing you some elements related to creating DoorDash orders from the POS, right? So this is something I know a lot of you have been waiting for. We're very, very excited to announce it. And so it's just an incentive to then sign up to the next webinar. And in fact, as we get the Q&A started, unless somebody else will do it in the meantime, but I'll I'll include a link, or if anything, maybe in the follow-up email, I'll include a link for you guys to sign up to that webinar as well. So very much looking forward to seeing you there, and we'll have more DoorDash features even to announce. So hopefully you're excited about that too. But without further ado, and I'm probably going to need the assistance of our two fantastic developers, David and Ivan, who are also here on today's webinar. But I think now is the perfect time to go through a Q&A, and I'll try myself to answer as many questions as possible, and I might otherwise need to lean upon David and Ivan for some of the trickier questions, but we'll see. So let's have a look. So one of the questions is, how will DoorDash handle stores that offer dry cleaning service? Will the driver have the means to handle the dry cleaning garments? For example, how does the driver, I think the garments from being wrinkled, how does the driver ensure the garments are not wrinkled? So let me just see. Now, first of all, just a quick note on dry cleaners in general, because I know that the turnaround time could be a bit higher than usual, right? A quick note on that is you can always set the turnaround time so that customers can't schedule an earlier delivery date. In terms of otherwise how the driver can ensure the garments don't get wrinkled, I don't know if there's anybody else who happens to have an insight on that particular point. I don't think I would perhaps have the best answer on that one otherwise. David, perhaps do you have any idea of something regarding that? Brian?
Yeah, our drivers are really just going to focus on getting the goods from point A to point B. The quality of the goods is, primarily going to be, we're going to depend on you as the merchant to control that. Now, certainly the driver is going to do their best to take steps to, not just throw things in the back of the car if they need to be laid flat, that type of thing. That they're pretty cautious about, like, laying things on their seat or trying to hang them on a clip in the car if possible. Giuseppe mentioned before that there's a field in our API or that you can use to specify any special requirements or requests of the driver. So if it is something that you want the driver to take care to be, like, delicate with, you can put a note in there that says, like, be sure to lay flat on the seat or try to hang it in the car or something to that effect, to try to, like, tailor the experience and give the driver specific instructions to the extent possible.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Brian. I did see, in fact, already an answer from David for Trenton's question. But in fact, Trenton, just to add on to it, yes, I mean, if you want to have the system to help you, understand where the orders are, move the orders across, have all of those things that we were talking about, setting card requirements and all these things that are involved, then yes, you can use CleanCloud in conjunction with DoorDash to get everything working as well as possible. Now, then we got a question from Carlos, who says he does dry cleaning and the clothes need to be hung during transportation. For that one, is there, Brian, what do you think of that? Is it possible for particular garments perhaps to be hung in the transportation vehicle, or do you think that would be a bit of a tricky one? Perhaps they would have to be boxed or something like that instead.
I would say in general, like, things could be hung in the vehicle. What might be advisable is if you have, like, really specific requirements or desires like that, verbally convey them to the driver when you're handing the stuff to them. If you want them to hang something in the car, like, ask them to do so, or lay them flat or whatever the optimal solution is. But, like, our drivers are still primarily adapted to transporting food and other similar items. And so we're working on training the fleet to effectively handle non-food items, such as laundry and dry cleaning. But all that said, like, my recommendation is, if you have specific asks of the driver, just verbally convey those asks to the driver as you're handing things off to them.
Okay. All right. I'm just going to rephrase one of the next questions, but is it possible to turn away a driver if they seem to be a bit unprofessional or anything like that? Is it possible to reject the driver and turn them away?
Yeah. You can. You have full liberty in this regard to say that you would rather that the driver does not fulfill your order. Most likely what's going to happen is the driver is going to call our support team to ask, like, what do I do here? Because they're not like giving me the goods. In which case, most likely, that driver will be unassigned from the order, and then we'll work to assign a new one. So you might see a slight delay in the completion of the delivery as a result of that. But you have full authority to say that I don't want this particular driver to take things from my store. You can correlate this a little bit to like a pizza shop. It's pretty important that we transport pizzas in pizza bags. Not all of our drivers have pizza bags on them at all times. So we have pizza shops that say, like, you don't have a bag, I'm not giving you my pizza because I don't want my pizza to get cold on the way to the customer. Similar concept. So take full authority over deciding if you want that particular dasher to deliver that particular food. And then as well, we do have the ability to block drivers. So if there's a driver that shows up who is or is showing up at your store repeatedly and always has a bad odor around them, or they're consistently unprofessional, we do have the ability to block them from delivering to or taking orders from your store.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that, Brian. I can see for the next question that Helen asked, David's already answered it. So for Joe, can we specify car requirements for the DoorDash drivers to be filtered to specify what drivers we want? For example, by DoorDash driver rating, etc.
Unfortunately, no. So the logistics system operates most efficiently when it is like a free market, so to speak. Now, as I mentioned, you can block drivers if you don't want them. We also have the ability to prefer drivers, but generally advise caution with both of those options, because if you block too many and prefer too liberally, or you use the prefer option, it's going to like narrow the number of drivers that can actually end up fulfilling your order, which increases the possibility of delays, because there's such a small subset of drivers who are going to be like possible, you could say, for your orders. So while we do have the ability for you to have some control over who's showing up at your store, we would say generally try to like not overuse that function, as it can have ramifications in the other direction.
Perfect. Thank you for that, Brian. We've got another question here. If the customer receives missing items for dry cleaning or laundry by the dasher, who is responsible for the missing items? And therefore, who covers the cost of refund or the replacement fee?
Yeah, good question. So it depends. The short answer is it depends. If a customer had sent 5 items to the store and you give 4 items to the driver, and the driver delivers all 4 to the consumer, that would be on you. DoorDash won't cover the cost of the 5th item that went missing, as long as DoorDash is the one that didn't cause it to go missing. Now, if you hand 5 items to the driver and the consumer only ends up with 4, maybe the driver really liked the shirt or something like that, and they got a little bit greedy, then DoorDash will cover that cost. So it depends on who ultimately made the mistake that caused the item to go missing.
Perfect. Next question is, would we designate a spot at our store specifically for DoorDash, similar to restaurants, how they set up?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Even if it's not like a spot, it could be signage. So if you put a sign on the wall that says "Here for a DoorDash pickup?" ? Like give us XYZ, whether that's an order number or the customer's name or something to that effect. If you have space in your store, like a restaurant, to have a shelf or something, like that's fine too. That might increase the chances of efficiency. Drivers come in, come out, maybe you don't even need to talk to them, like you might see in a restaurant. So ultimately up to you, but at the very least, recommend having some signage that gives drivers direction when they're arriving at your store. Perfect.
Next question. Are the drivers DoorDash employees? I suppose the answer to that is yes.
Kind of. They're not W-2 employees. They are contractors. They do go through a very thorough vetting process. but they are not actually like employed by DoorDash. They're like Uber drivers. They're contractors.
Perfect. So we got a couple of questions from Alfredo Torres, which my colleague Ola so graciously answered. We've got now next question from Trenton. Will there need to be an item count? We bag our drop-offs and base it off weight, not item count. I can answer that one. Not to worry, Trenton. So it's actually something that a lot of, I would even say, the vast majority of laundromats do, which is to say that they allow the customers to only choose the pickup date and time and the delivery date and time. And only once the order is actually with you physically in the store will you then go in and actually add the correct weight of each of those laundry bags that the customer provided. So the system is perfectly set up for that. Absolutely. And then otherwise, Carrie was happy about the DoorDash signage idea. So thank you, Brian. I think otherwise, looking at it so far, I think that's otherwise it for the question. So if, oh, there we go. We got
There's
another
one
one
more,
coming
yeah.
in. There we go. Helen, can we turn on DoorDash for 24-hour shop is open because the shop is open 24 hours. So our Dash, I can check in the settings. It should be, let's just double check. It should be possible, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so we got here 12 a.m. I can set up until 11 p.m. It's allowing me to, unless anybody else has any other input on this particular point. But I know that in terms of availability that you can set through CleanCloud for DoorDash for the Dashers is from 12 a.m. until 11 p.m.
Yeah, I'll just chime in there with one point, which is DoorDash does not operate 24 hours in some areas. Particularly in more like suburban or rural areas, we will have opening and closing hours. Now those hours tend to be pretty liberal. Opening is usually going to be like 6:30 in the morning. Closing is probably like 11:30 or midnight. But just cautioning that there is generally a window during which we are closed. We do that for a variety of reasons. One is Dasher safety. We want to make sure we're not putting Dashers in dangerous situations when there's, it's the middle of the night. Other is supply. We don't want to commit to you that we can deliver something at 3 a.m. and then find that we have no drivers on the road at 3 a.m. So trying to mitigate some negative outcomes by restricting our hours just a little bit in the wee morning hours.
Perfect. And then Carlos asked about how tips work. I'm assuming you're referring to when the customers go and put their DoorDash orders online. So the tip is for the Dashers in that instance. So they would be able to put a Dasher tip and it'll pre-select the $5 amount. However, it is up to the customer if they wish to change that amount to anything else.
Yep. And DoorDash extends that tip to the driver in full. DoorDash does not retain any of the tip.
Perfect. And then Alfredo asked, my same day turnaround is 5 hours. Will this be acceptable or will it be limited to 2 or 3 hours? The slider is 3 hours, right? But if you were to say, for example, the customer will choose a window that is 3 hours long. However, if your same day turnaround is 5 hours, then as long as that is set in your account, then it will be possible for them to select a 3-hour window from that point onwards. Let's have a look at the next one. Helen said, is a follow-up. The last time someone ordered when we said that we closed the store at 11 p.m., it didn't allow us to book after 7 p.m. Interesting. I don't know if that is in relation to the fact that the service was no longer operating at that time in the area, but that's something that we probably have to investigate further, Helen. So
if I may, I can answer that.
Yeah.
It's because the last time window is from 7 to 11 p.m. The very last window must be 4 hours window, not 3 hours, but 4 hours window. That was basically a requirement by DoorDash. So otherwise, it's always free time window, 3 hours window, but the very last window must be 4 hours.
Okay. So thank you for that, Ivan. So Kerry, so regarding the customer sees a screen on the app with the total amount of dollars for the order. If the number is greater than the minimum, they will have a higher total charge. This is confusing to the customer. Let's have a look at that one then together, Kerry, because that is something that depends on. So typically when there is a minimum order amount selected or inputted, you are right that it would typically bump up the customer to that amount if they do not reach it and the customer's informed of it in advance. But if the amount is then, you weigh the bags and so on, and the amount or the total order amount then exceeds the minimum, then it would not include that sort of won't bump. There's no bumping up needing to be done, right, to reach the minimum amount. So that should otherwise be working properly.
We do also have that notification where if you edit an order and the value changes, then it can send a notification to the customer.
Correct.
Yeah, and usually in these cases, it's basically, because often you don't kind of expect the customer to know the weight of the laundry that they're providing, and so in most stores they don't allow the customer to select the weight, and then it's up to the store to then weigh it, and then the customer is provided with the price. But yeah, if you're allowing them to kind of provide the weights and they're giving you the wrong answer, then they will get notified, that it's going to be more expensive.
Yeah, there's like an automatic notification even for that. Now, guys, I think because we've gone beyond the 45 minutes, I think we might need to wrap it up for the day. If any other person has any other questions, though, please direct them to us. Not a problem at all. We will address them as soon as we can. If you go to, in fact, or email support@cleancloud.com. If not, you might know in your accounts that you can also submit a ticket through your CleanCloud account. But we'll be happy to address any further questions. But thank you all otherwise so much for joining today. It's been a pleasure having you here, and I hope otherwise you've enjoyed the webinar. And we'll see you at the next ones.
All right, thank you, everybody.
Thanks everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.